always begin everything with a spiritual mind treatment, something that I understand you learned about 2 weeks ago. So take a deep breath. Because we always begin with the one. There is only one. And whatever it is, whatever words we use to describe it, however we try to wrap our heads around it, it is infinite. It is absolute. It is omnipresent, everywhere present, omniscient, all-knowing, and omnipotent, all-powerful. It is that unformed stuff out of which everything comes. And so as we try to expand past stars in the heavens and sands on the beach into a place where there is no end, we bring that awareness back to us. Because since there is only one, then that one must be everything and everyone. So whatever we are must be what God is. And conversely, whatever God is must be what we are. We are perfect, pure, holy. We are powerful, creative, spiritual beings. We are wiser than we could imagine. We are guided and directed. There is something that moves through us, the life that lives us, the breath that breathes us, the love that loves us. And just take a minute and feel that. You are amazing. And so we know that since we are made out of God's stuff, we are made out of Spirit stuff, we have that same quality that God or Spirit is. So we affirm for ourselves this evening that we have amazing breakthroughs. We get it. We hear exactly what we need to hear. We take out of here that which transforms our lives into greater and greater expressions of health and prosperity and joy and love and success and happiness. And that this class, this night, is the best class night ever. Because how could anything be less than that? This is God in form as us, together. And so what a wonderful thing to be grateful for, that we get to have this rockin' class together. We get to come together. We get to be amazing beings together. So we're incredibly grateful for this night, for this center, for these people, for everything we have ever learned and everything that we are learning, for every step along our path and every step that we continue to take. We are grateful. And then we move to the last step, which is just to let it go. We have done our spiritual work. Everything happens on the plane of mind. We've known it, and so we grow it. We've named it, and so we've claimed it. And the only thing that can happen is the manifestation of that which has been spoken. We let it go as together we say,
and so it is.
Excellent, excellent. So I do want to do a little bit of catch up with you. John was here 2 weeks ago. Last week, it's not a common thing that we cancel classes, but the difference about nighttime and daytime is that Sunday morning it gets warmer, and if people can get here, then usually by the time they leave, things have thawed and the sun is up. But at nighttime, when you leave, it's gotten colder than when you came. So even though we did not have a major ice event that they were claiming, whenever things like that come up, I'm not a cautious person, but when it comes to driving in the dark on the ice, that's usually when I draw the line. So thank you for your patience and staying connected and coming back. What I want to talk about is 2 weeks ago when you had the fabulous Dr. John Waterhouse come and teach, and I understand he taught 2 basic topics. He taught you how to give a spiritual mind treatment. You remember that? And then he taught about the teaching symbol. You remember that? Great, I want to know what you learned. What you learned?
Don't give your power away.
Woohoo! Don't give your power away. Excellent. That was one of my topics for tonight's class. Okay.
Oh, you can always do it again.
What else did you learn? What did you learn that you didn't know before from John?
I don't remember him teaching us.
I think that was the Tuesday class.
Was that the Tuesday morning
Yeah.
class?
Okay.
Yeah.
What did he teach?
He taught
He did treatment.
she
He
had
did
it.
treatment.
He did treatment for the whole 2 hours?
No, it's, I mean, he did some of this other
Oh,
stuff.
good,
before.
great. No, I think treatment for the whole 2 hours is a good idea. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong. Great, what'd you learn, Susan?
Well, suffering is pain if we think it will never end,
Right.
or pain is suffering.
Right,
the
if
other
we think
way.
pain will never end, it turns into suffering.
That's right.
Exactly. Great. Vivian?
I am crafting my life. He said that, and that really hit me.
Good.
I'm crafting my life.
You are, because you are a spiritual artist.
That's right.
Yes, you are. Who else? What'd you learn?
See it, feel it, speak it, and you have it.
Good. See it, feel it, speak it, and you have it.
Know it is so.
Know it is so. Excellent, excellent. Who else? What'd you get from John? How many of you have never been in a class with John? Yeah. You know, he's going on 3 years, he's kind of been doing other stuff, and he used to teach every week. So, some people are like, who are you? Why are you? So good. And he always teaches in his school, so whenever you see the school set up, you know, John's gonna be teaching. I think, John L., you came in and said, oh, John's teaching. Come on in, Michelle. I'm asking people what they learned from John's class. So have you been doing spiritual mind treatment? That was 2 weeks ago. Every day, always nodding heads. How many of you did not know how to give a spiritual mind treatment before John taught the class? Cheryl, wonderful. And Bart, have you been practicing that?
Modification, probably not true to form, but that which I could recall.
That's great. Good. Spiritual mind treatment is what we do. It's what we do. It's our technique. And there are many other ways that people can affect setting spiritual law in motion with belief and knowing. My first mother-in-law used to simply light a green candle to St. Anthony, and she knew that once she said the prayer and lit the candle, that by the time the candle had burned out 7 days later, that she would have whatever she had asked for. And that worked really well for her because she had some system of stating what she desired, setting law in motion with belief and acceptance. She had a time level to it, but who cares? 7 days is good. And then she knew that by the time the candle had burned out, she would have it. So she had a level of acceptance. So we are not the only ones who do that, but I like our technique in that it's very, very big. For me personally, it's very healing to get that there is a light and a power and a love within you that cannot be diminished, that you have never done anything wrong, that you are perfect, whole, and complete right here and right now, and that the infinite resides in you. You know, I think that that is way better than lying on a couch and talking about past hurts and stories and trying to analyze psychodynamic family dramas and all of that. If you can move into this idea that says there's a light in you, there is a love in you, that you are greater than your body, your experiences, your story, your past, any of that, and that you can't screw it up. I love that part. You can't screw this up. You're God, you're stuck with that. You can embrace it, you can open to it, you can unfold as that, or you can close down and shut your eyes and stomp your feet, but still, you can't screw it up. Did you have your hand up, Jenna?
No, I did.
Okay, now the week before that, I was teaching you affirmations, so I want to go back to that class and ask you where you are with that. Kristen.
My affirmation has been, I love my 5-star life, off of what your grandson said, and it's been great.
Good.
And, it really it's really working for me. It's easy to say and easy to remember, and I say it all the time. And it's like anytime those like little things happen, it just makes me really happy. And then I get more little things that make me really happy.
Right, when you acknowledge the good things that are going on, you get more.
Yeah.
Your life really has changed in the last 6 months.
Yes.
You have done a wonderful job of growing.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Chet,
I've been doing affirmations, and I do variety, whatever comes to my mind. I will do an affirmation. And, as I mentioned to you before, my business has never been so good.
great. Chet teaches people how to fly. Yes. Yes. Good, good, good,
I also
good.
teach them how to land.
Very important, it's an important part. So who else? Went home, everybody had an affirmation, yes, Catalin.
My affirmation is that God is here.
Good. God is here.
Whatever happens, there is God in the event, a person, and I just have to say.
Good, good. It helps you focus to see the presence of the divine right there. God is here. Wonderful. What else? What you got going on? I'm really interested in your thought process. Susan.
I like the word opulent, and I chose I am opulently blessed, and then I added on with excellent health.
Good. I'm opulently blessed with excellent health. Good, good. Why do I want you to do affirmations? Why do I get so pushy with you? Do you know?
Clears your mind.
Conscious of our thoughts.
Clears your mind. What'd you say?
Conscious of our thoughts.
Be conscious of your thoughts.
Words are powerful.
Words are powerful.
Helps you control your thinking.
Helps you control your thinking. Yes, some people have stinking thinking. And some people need to be brainwashed. Sometimes with a power washer. What happens is when you start thinking about your affirmations, you stop going on automatic. If you go on automatic, you're going to continue to create what you've created up until now. So if you can stop, if you can have any technique that helps you to stop and think about what you're thinking about, and then maybe even move into a point of choice where you choose what you want to think about and then think that is real power. When you can choose what you want to think and think it, that's power. When you can choose how you want to feel and feel it, that's power. And I've actually had people leave the center over me telling you or telling them that you choose your emotions. No, this happened, I couldn't control it, that's just the way I felt. No, something happened and then we made a choice about how we were going to feel about it, how we were going to react to it. So you may want to start practicing feeling certain feelings. You're practicing thinking certain thoughts. You may want to start practicing feeling certain feelings. What kind of feeling might you want to feel?
Joy.
Joy, happiness. How many of you do today is a happy day? Good, good. And you practice feeling happy. Now, how long might that happiness last for you? Right, but an hour, okay, an hour, and then, well, that's why you let it, but yeah. And then you say it again, you practice feeling, you practice creating an emotion, you practice emoting the way that you want to, you practice picking and choosing from the great buffet of life what feeling you want to feel, and then you feel it. And there may come a time when feeling happy is a little bit more difficult than it was the previous day. And so you're going to want to have some experience under your belt so you're not just completely overrun by the feelings of everybody around you, raised consciousness, the feelings that you've always felt before, so that you've got a little practice under your belt of what to feel. Did you see Olivia Newton-John? And did she bring you backstage?
Yes. Both
She's
nights
friends.
we were dancing and Simon Pack were dancing. She had us when Ted told her that her song Sam is played in ballrooms as a waltz, she was freaked out. She said, clear my dressing room, clear the dressing room. She says, I want you and Ted to dance a waltz for me right now to it. And she sang a cappella, Sam to us.
And you were in her dressing room. She was dancing for Olivia Newton-John.
And then our cat Trinity, who she has the bond with, who she wanted to see, she said, how's she doing? I said, we're getting daily reports from our caregivers. It turned out to be the best thing ever when I called you. 2 people came forward. And she said, well, I'm going to make a video for her right now. So she made a 12-second video to Trinity, singing to Trinity, that I sent to the caregivers and they played for her.
You get to have a magical life, you really do. If you think thoughts that are in alignment with anything is possible, you get to hang out in Olivia Newton-John's dressing room while she makes a video for your cat.
And then the wild thing was, when we were going to teach them dance, they gave us the all-access pass so we could go wherever and hang out with the band and all that. So it was really cool, but I was going to share with everyone, I had to apologize because I knew I was going to miss last Monday night's class, so I was affirming that I really don't want to miss last Monday's class.
Will you bring her of ice?
On Facebook Monday, it's sunny in Florida, and I'm like, oh my God. Canceling class. So it was good to see, you don't have to miss it. So
Good, good. And you don't have to apologize. You're always in your perfect and right place. Don't you go feeling bad you're hanging out with Olivia.
But the funny, I sent Deborah Belcher, was we were driving, we were staying in Airbnb. This is a quick story. We drive up, we look at the street sign that says Belcher, which is Deborah's last name, and in front of us is a cab that says the phone number 727-777-7777, and I'm like, wow, I feel like we're in Vegas and we just won the lottery. We get to the Airbnb, the stench of the place, it was a gorgeous place, but the stench was so bad, it smelled like they had just fumigated the place, and we tried to air it out for hours. We call up Airbnb, long story short, they give us a hotel room free for 4 nights that was the full kitchen, the one we wanted in a suite for the whole time.
Excellent. Good things will seek you out when you are, as Abraham would say, in vibrational alignment with them, when you have the consciousness of that. But that energy comes from good feelings. So if you had gotten all cranky and mad about the smell of your B&B, you wouldn't have gotten the hotel. It'll go off to somebody else who's all joyous and having a happy day. So the quality of your consciousness or your mental atmosphere is directly related to the thoughts that you think and the feelings that you feel. So it's very important that you begin to master your feelings, because there are a lot of people who think that when something on the outside happens, you should have a certain response. There are a lot of people who think that. I think that's why some people think I'm so cold. Because somebody comes to me and says, "We love me," and I go, "Great." Great, because they did for you what you wouldn't do for yourself. And if you had had the courage to leave when you knew you wanted to leave, this wouldn't have happened, but you didn't, so great. So, to see the positive of that and to be able to say, "They left me," and be able to say, well, no, I'm going to find some good in this. God is here. I'm going to find some good in it. I can still be happy, even though I no longer have that job, that car, that house, that partner, whatever. I can look at that as an evolution and a growth, and I just haven't seen the end of it yet. And then you begin to marshal your forces inside of you and start doing affirmations, do spiritual mind treatment, feel feelings, see the presence of the divine everywhere, and something wonderful comes from it. I think it was Edwin that said, if you bless your problem, the blessing will appear. But if you don't bless it, there will be no blessing in it. It's like you put the blessing in it, although everything is a blessing, so that's not really right, but just for language's sake, you put the blessing in it and then you got to get it back. Sandy.
I've been thinking this week about our job situation, And I was thinking about it like a breakup. We weren't ready to make the leave, so it was taken care of for us. I no longer have to verbally say I am sorry in my scripting.
All right, you had to say that every time a person called you.
Yes.
Right, you remember that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Good, congratulations on getting laid off. Because if it's yours, you can't lose it, and if it's not yours, you can't keep it. So everybody just get over it and move on, find a blessing, and let's have great lives. When we practice that, when we are able to come up with that from inside of ourselves, then we open up the doorway to amazing things. So just a heads up, and I'm gonna write this down just so you get it. No class next week.
And no snow.
Is it gonna snow?
No, I'm going to Vegas.
Oh.
That's good. I'm
Where are
gonna
you
leave it
staying?
Great. Pardon me?
Where are you staying in Vegas?
Hard Rock Cafe. We have 550 Science of Mind ministers, practitioners, and lay members coming together for a convention at the Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip.
Good.
Six
We made
conversations
receipts for that.
So there is no class, which those of you who are keeping track of weeks can figure out that our schedule has gone askew. And we're going to go, we're here tonight, we're not here next week, we're here the next week, we're not here the next week, because I'm gonna be at the beach.
Hello.
And then we'll be here the next week, and that'll be the 8th class. So I want you to know I've had a bit of an epiphany when we hit 20 years, and I realized that this center will go on whether I'm here every week or not. That it is not riding on me to have everything happen every week. So just a heads up, probably in 2015, I'm going to be gone more, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right. I'll probably be gone with John, and there probably won't be anyone filling in, so things will just be a little more free-flowing, and it'll be all right. If you get lonely, take one of my CDs and put it in the CD player and just sit back and let me tell you what's up. Because really, I just say the same thing over and over and over and over again. So, what's going to happen next week?
No
class. If you want to come, it would be probably okay, but I think the doors would be locked and the lights would be off, so consider your options.
Where are we in the reading?
This is class 5, so your reading was up to class 5. I think it was 57.
Yeah.
So you're up to, in this little teeny tiny book, you're up to page 55 in the book, and up to page 30 or something close to that on the website. I know that when it goes from the website to iPads or readers or print or something like that, the pages seem to move around a little bit, and because it's page numbered as part of the program, it'll just renumber stuff for you.
What page did you say for iPad?
30. Okay. 30, and then next week you go all the way up to page 38 on your iPads and 72, but you'll have 2 weeks to do that reading. So do you have any other questions or comments before we start?
Did you say that you made a recording of, that's for tomorrow, and the book?
I did. I recorded because I was lonely and I missed you guys last week when 2 classes were canceled. I recorded the entire book, Primary Lessons in Healing by Annie Ritz-Molitz. It broke out into a 5 CD set.
Wow.
So it's more than twice as big as the Creative Mind recording that you have, which is up on the website now. So if you didn't get the CDs, they're up on the website. They're for any and everyone to have. and the beginning of all of our recordings say, this is a gift, you know, you can have this, it's in public domain, that kind of thing. So yes, and we will have those tomorrow morning. Good, good. Is it not on? Yeah, so what are you asking me? Oh, I don't know, other people do that for me. I'm the talent. Okay, okay. So here we are in Ernest's first book, Creative Mind. And one of the things that you had in your reading was to stop seeing, reading about, discussing, or listening to conversations about sickness. And I would add to that conversations about sickness or poverty or politics or anything that might not be exactly what is going to put you in Olivia Newton-John's dressing room or the equivalent of that for you. So how are you with pulling yourself back from negativity? It's hard? What, do you have friends that are negative?
I haven't made a shift yet to thinking more positively. I'm still back in that old stuff.
Okay, but you are shifting.
Yeah.
You just haven't made the shift yet.
Right.
Good, good. Well, imagine what's gonna happen, because your life is going pretty good.
Yeah,
You moved to Asheville, North Carolina. Yay, yay. Wonderful. Darcy?
I think I have to be mindful of certain triggers that take me there. Like certain circumstances or certain conversations or that sometimes will take me back into that negative stinking thinking.
Right, and so you are aware of your reactions and your thoughts and your feelings, so that
Right.
when that happens, you're not
I'm not staying there very
You're
long.
not staying there, that's a
No.
better word than I was gonna use.
Right.
You're not staying there, and you're at choice and empowered to shift.
And that's when I start really doing my affirmations and my spiritual mind treatments to carry me back to the bright side of things.
Good. Susan?
I've been doing your reading every morning and every evening from those pages you gave us where she says, this is again tomorrow, but to me it's going back and forth, just to affirm that it's not true. And when somebody else is talking, I'm going, it's not true, and I feel like I'm going la 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 la. And that's what it's accomplishing. But I'm doing it to myself or with myself. For myself even more, because it's not them so much as it is for me. It was an easy thing for me to talk about what was going on. All the negative and all the negative. And I've been experiencing something, and I found that I was very, very selective. One of the people I chose to share with was John, and I asked for treatment for a certain thing, and then there were two other people, and there was a reason that I did that, not just, I don't want to make it real, and I know that it will. And so I've been practicing that and aware of my practicing it. Not always, not sometimes for not very long, I'll slip back. But as far as me communicating that with other people, there's been a fabulous change in that.
Good for you, good for you. And the better you get at it, the less you'll be doing it inside of yourself. Wonderful. Deb?
With me, it seems that the closer the relationship, the more difficult it is. So, you know, if I'm just listening to the news or somebody is just talking about whatever, I can go there and I can say, no, this is not real. But I can still get hooked in, like with my daughter and situations like that. So, but I'm far more conscious of being there and, oh, okay, there I go again, so I can stop and turn it around.
At least that gives you the power, here I go again, instead of here you go again. If it's here you go again, then you're completely out of effect, you're a puppet on a string. But here I go again, do you hear the difference in that? Here I go again means I can do something different. Good for you, that's great awareness. Who else? Sylvia and then Tom.
I noticed that, I have one friend that complains a lot and all, and I listen, but I listen from a different place, because I'm able to not get into judgment and to more feel like, okay, I can be there, but not like it really in the situation. I feel more detached, and I feel more like I can have thoughts of blessing and this person moving towards a different way of seeing things.
And then you become a healing presence in the world, instead of adding to the misery of the world. That's a huge step. One of my catchphrases that I use with people is, I'm sure you'll work it out. I'm sure you'll figure it out. And I am sure that you will work it out. In this lifetime or some other one, you will. You'll work it out. Everything will be fine. Come.
I generally just let other people be who they are, or if I don't resist their reality, then they don't.
Okay. Great. Kristen.
There's a Hawaiian term, holiday, that means I honor the part of you that's in a higher place to move through this, whatever.
I honor the part of you that's in a higher place. I love that. Wouldn't that be a great comment to someone?
I say it all the time.
You know? I honor the part of you that's in a higher place. I think I'm gonna use that. I might use it in Las Vegas. I think it's been 20 years. How about this one? Think only about what you want and never what you don't want. How are you doing with thinking about where you want to go instead of where you don't want to go? Becca.
I've caught myself in the last week or so really kind of going into, my mind will switch and start worrying, and I just stop myself, and it's like, no, this is good. This is growth potential, this is time for me to get a raise, this is a good thing, and
Good.
everything's in good shape.
Everything's in good shape. What a wonderful affirmation.
Anytime I start to feel those thoughts going or trying to run a bank account through my head, it's like, no, everything's in good shape. I'm gonna get a raise, I'm gonna be in a beautiful place.
Have a raise and in a beautiful place.
Everything's in good shape.
Good. Everything's in good shape. Darcy and then Sandy.
I feel the same way that Becca does, because I had a situation happen last week and I made a conscious decision that I'm moving into a better space, that my energy is changing and that positive things are gonna come out of this. That it is a blessing and that all things will be good, that there's a blessing behind this. And so that's what's really helped me through the thing that I have been dealing with.
Excellent. Excellent. Sandy, Sylvia, and then Olympia.
I just realized that I need to give myself a pat on the back. The reason being is I spoke to my older brother that's on the other side of the family that I mentioned to you before. And I didn't allow him to take me there to that place, and I did not want to go.
Good.
So I just realized that just now. I'm having a problem, I'm afraid.
Good. Sylvia.
I had a situation that normally I'd react to that was negative and expensive, and I just said to myself, I'm not going to give this any energy, and it's like I haven't. It's like I'm just dealing with it, but I haven't been thinking about it or figuring out how it was going to impact my life. Just no energy there.
Good. Good. Olympia.
I found myself shifting my phrases and words that usually have a negative in it, I don't, or something like that, and I'll look at it and I'll analyze it and say, oh, let me switch that and take that piece out. And just that, for instance, I was reading something that said, happily go through life because these are the events. events of my life. And it said, and I refuse to move through it miserably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why would I want to remember to do that? So I took that phrase out and said, and I choose to move through it with joy.
Good, good. I happily move through the events of my life because this is my life right now, and I move through it with joy. This is important to me because I've had a lot of students that get things on an intellectual basis. They do the readings and they know the words, but their lives don't work. And their lives don't work because they haven't made the shift in thought. They haven't mastered their feelings. So they'll come to the center and freak out one day. And I can see that and say, you haven't been practicing mastering your emotions, or you wouldn't be out in the front screaming. Or we wouldn't have restraining orders going on, you know? You haven't been practicing. So it's really important to me that you practice. And I love the sharing because it's anchoring in, oh, this is what she means. This is what she means. Well, I thought she meant like I was supposed to create world peace. No, I want you to make that little shift. I want you to make that little shift, and I want you to be able to pull your energy back, pull your emotions back, and direct it where you want it to go. Cheryl.
So for me, this is all new. And what I'm becoming more aware of is the importance of saying the things I don't want. It was always, I don't want this or I don't want that. I'm becoming aware of, by saying I don't want it, it was bringing it in. So shifting to what I actually do want. So I'm working on when I think I don't want it, then I try to focus on what I actually want and change that shift. So
And how long have you been coming to this center?
December? Since December?
So in 2 months, depending on when in December, you've been able to shift from thinking about what you don't. You know, people spend a decade in therapy to get there. They do. $10,000 or whatever. They've been able to shift from what I don't want to what I do want and to see the difference. Because you all know when you think about what I don't want, what I don't want, what I don't want, you get it. We had someone, I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit. Somebody in our prac class, one of the things that we missed by being iced out was that you were going to sign up for treatments to come to the prac 2 class, and that didn't happen, so I was just kind of grabbing anybody who showed up Tuesday or Wednesday, and one of the people that signed up intimidates one of our prac 2 students. They're a practitioner, and you know, the prac 2 student was like, oh no, I hope I don't get her, because she's so-and-so, and I don't know if I'm good enough for that, you know? And so what happens? And she had a little stuff that she wouldn't have had if she hadn't had that particular person, that she had an opportunity to work through and then process through after the person leaves, because after you come and get your treatment and leave, then we share to the students about what they did, what they didn't do, what we thought they might have done. And so there was some process time with that, but I looked at her and I said, you reeled her right in. She could not have gone to anyone else because you were so worried about her, and the person picks the practitioner to student because you were so worried about her picking you. And don't we do that? We'll pick a bank account that doesn't have the money in it that we think we would like. We'll pick an experience inside of our body or a relationship, or, you know, just the whole Codependent No More Melody Beatty book was all about how women pick men that match their neuroses, and a masochist will pick a sadist, fall in love, have a big wedding, and then they'll live in hell for the rest of their life. They picked that. We pick careers that we don't really want. How many people have we heard about that have gone through life? They went to school, they've got the titles, they're in the career, and they go, I don't want this. I want to go be a charter fishing boat operator down in the Keys. You know, I don't want to do this. So when we are picking that which we don't want and not realizing that we can just as easily pick something that we do want, then we're stuck. And that's why people say, oh, so-and-so got divorced. Like, great. Better luck next time. You know? Catch on the flip side. Let's do it again. Do you know that 95% of all third marriages are for life? So what's so wrong about just having a couple of trial runs? Practice. So I'm glad to have, I see you, Jim. I'm glad to have this conversation because I want to make sure that you're doing it. And I want to reinforce in you how important it is that when you get in your car and the service engine soon light comes on, if you get mad and if you think, oh crap, now I'm gonna have to take it in, take time off, it's gonna be expensive, and you're pulling that right to you. You have focused on it, laid it in the tractor beam, and you're pulling it into the mothership. And if you can sit there and say, oh, everything's great, God is here. God is in the light. Isn't it wonderful that we have a light so we don't blow up our engines anymore? I remember when just the engine would just blow up out of the blue. Now we've got a light, so we can be of choice. So if you can move into that and know that it wouldn't show up in your life if you didn't have everything that you needed to work it out. I think Lynn said she wanted a new car.
She got it. She got it. With a bang.
I always do, John and I have an agreement that before we do almost anything in our vehicles, certainly before we take any kind of a trip, we have an agreement that we're safe. And then we were on I-85 coming out of Atlanta, and there was a huge wreck in front of us. And I was the person right behind it to where John started screaming at me, put your brakes on, they're gonna flip. And it was a truck pulling a trailer, and the trailer started fishtailing. And so I slammed on my brakes, and sure enough, boom, 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 boom. And so now we include in our treatments that not only are we safe, but everybody else around us is safe. And then if anybody wants to have an accident, they have to go find someone else away from my line of vision or hearing to have that. And since then, we haven't been going on anything like that. So in all of your With a Bang, include in your daily meditations that you're always safe and that everybody around you is safe, that you live in love, that there's a bubble around you, that everything is great. If you're going into a tense situation and you can't go la 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 la, do it with a bubble of light. That only that which is for your best can enter into that and come into your experience, and everything else just bounces off and has to go find somebody else. And really, energetically, all of that works. So again, I'm really happy that you are practicing this, because I am not interested in a student that doesn't practice it and I can see. My guess is everybody can see. But I want you to know that I can see if you are doing this. It's very obvious to me. I tell my practitioners, I can see which ones of you are not doing your spiritual practice. You know, you can just see it. All of a sudden, instead of being all, they're all, you go do spiritual practice. Ernest Holmes would tell Bill Hornaday, his second in command kind of guy, when he would not be in principal, he would send him back to take another year of basic classes. And he would just say one thing, and Ernest would say, go back and take first year all over again. I told him that 3 times. And it was a whole year. You go back, you are, you know, like demoted energetically. Go back, be as a little child, learn all over again, because obviously you missed it. Ernest told him there was a house in Ernest's eyesight somewhere in LA. And I don't know if it was on his lunch walks or his trip to the office or whatever, but there was this real shabby house and had toys out front and whatever, and he told Bill Hornaday to go over there and to pray over that house, that he wanted it to look better for Ernest. Ernest didn't want to look at a shabby house, he wanted to look at a pretty house. And Bill questioned him on that. You go back to first year, because you can do anything. Because that house is a reflection of my consciousness, and I want it to be an uplifting experience. And so he would go out there every day and stand in front of the house, and he would bless it, and he would treat it, and he would know that the family that lived there was healthy and happy and prosperous, and that it was a solid house and a beautiful house. And it only took a few weeks for them to start painting the house and fixing the house and cleaning it up into where it was a good and wonderful house. But the same way that houses are symbolic of consciousness, the outpicturing of our consciousness, only this was a true story about a real house, then the outpicturing of our consciousness shows. It shows to people, and if you're thinking that you're not quite sure where you are with your consciousness, all you have to do is ask your friends. They'll tell you. How am I? Do I react positively or negatively? How long do I hold on to upset? Well, you've been mad at me for 3 years about blah, 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 blah. They'll tell you. And then you can look at that and you can work with it and you can practice it, because when you get to where you can shift what you're thinking and what you're feeling just like that, then you really can orchestrate all of the details of your life, not for the purpose of manifesting a certain thing, but for the purpose of these are the events in my life and I'm going to be in my joy. I'm not going to let that event rob me. That event has no power over me. It's old news. It's yesterday's thinking. So I'm going to think blessings right here and right now, see that God is here and that that is what I am, and then you'll just sit back tomorrow and marvel at how things changed. I see more and more that what we're doing here is kind of pulling away from, I want an affirmation for money because my rent is due again and I don't have it, and I know that I've done this, 6 months in a row, but I want that affirmation for money so that I can fix the problems in my life. We're moving back away from that to more of an experience of the presence of the divine, to where your rent is never short. Then you're paying mortgage payments or paying cash for property because you've moved into a different state of being. So I'm just glad that you're coming along with me. I don't want to be out there all by myself. Jane.
It just sounds like if I were able to just love every event in my life that's happened to me, that would be the thing to do.
I think that's a great idea, and of course you are able to. You are love made manifest. How could love not love? You're a love muffin, Jane. You are.
I've got a pain in my leg and I don't love it, so.
Well, love it.
I love it.
Love it.
Well, that I have this pain and
Love it.
it's giving me a destiny.
No, love it.
Love it.
If you have a belief system, know that everything is for a lesson and that you've got to learn your lesson before you can move on, then you'll have lessons. Just love it.
Okay.
Just love it. You have had such a physical transformation over the last 3 years. You don't even look like the woman you used to look like. You were hunched over and hobbling, and didn't you have a cane?
Yes, in my car.
Well, you don't have it here. You stand tall, you move freely. You've had such a physical transformation. Don't take that away from yourself. Give yourself Sandy's pat on your back. Love it. Love it. It's a pain in your knee, so what? Love it. Just love it and love everything that you've ever attached to that. When you do that, you're free. When you're reacting, you're a prisoner, and we are always prisoners of our own device. We build the jail, put ourselves in, and lock the door, or just shut the door and pretend it's locked.
Yeah, my reaction to the pain in my hip is, I was just really angry.
Great, you don't have to be angry anymore. Isn't that wonderful? You are safe, you are loved, you are beautiful, you are growing. You don't have to be angry anymore. It's always a choice. And even if you thought you had a good reason in the past, Jane's no different than any one of us, even if we thought that we had a good reason to be angry in the past, we pay the price for it. We don't have to be angry anymore. If something happened in your past, why in the world do you want to keep experiencing the pain of it? You went through it once, maybe 100 times after replaying it. Isn't that enough? At what level is that just masochistic self-abuse? To remember the pains of the past. We went through it. It's over. We're done. We don't have to go through it anymore. And so every time we think about it, and every time we react to it, we're simply reliving it and recreating it, putting it in our tractor beam, pulling it in, and living it, and we've lost our joy. Then we don't have money for the rent, it's all connected. Chet and Susan and Tom.
Just going along with what you just said, I find myself reliving things from my past, negative things when I was young and stupid and drunk.
Stop it.
And things that I really do not want to remember.
Okay.
And I find myself reliving these, you know, and I have started, say in the past year or so, to catch myself and bring myself back to today, to now, right here.
Good.
And look for the beautiful things, the happy things,
Right.
and so forth.
Good for you.
Rather than reliving that.
Good for you. This is a science of mind. This is a science of thought, in the greater thought, but it's a science, and there are exercises for you to do, one of which is to stop thinking about the past. If you're going to insist on thinking about the past, think about the joy-filled moments. Play those over and over again if you're going to play something from the past. But the better place to be is in the now moment and have your joy today. Who had their hands up? Susan.
So could you go through the process starting with Jane or with pain? So there's pain, you love it.
Well, your choice.
But for me, I want it to go away, go away, go away, go away, go away.
Of course you do, and how is it going to go away if you tense up against it? Let's just look at physical pain. What holds that in your body when you go, ugh? That's not going to help. You can breathe and relax and let it go. And which emotion is going to help you the most with that? It's going to be love. I mean, if you look at the polarities of love and hate, if you hate the pain in your knee, you're just going to lock it in there. And if you can love it and embrace it, pain is a great thing. Pain gets us out of very bad situations very quickly. You know, the stove is hot. If you had to stop and think, what does that smell? It smells like burning skin. Oh my gosh, the stove is hot and my fingers are on fire. But we have this wonderful thing called pain. And so we go, ah! And the burn stops. I stuck my finger in that dishwasher that said do not use, and I turned it on and went, what does this mean, do not use? I'm Barbara Waterhouse. This is my center. I don't think I gave permission for anybody to put a note on this dishwasher while I was gone for a week and a half that said do not use it. And I opened it up after a minute and looking at it. I have history with that dishwasher. There's some tricks you can do to get it to work. And I stuck my hand in. Whoa, the heating element burned. This is a week old, this burn. I'm so glad that I had pain. Otherwise, I would have grabbed it with my whole hand. Don't resist it. You don't have to keep it. You just love it. Just relax. Move into your love. And that's the next step is move into your joy. You know, people move in to healing experiences, and it doesn't always happen instantaneously. Sometimes there are processes in the healing that bring up more pain, discomfort. Jane, I think what's going on with your hip and knee is that you got your shoulder fixed and now you're standing up straight. And you haven't stood up straight in 3 years that I've known you, so you know, there's a realignment going on, and that may have a little pain, but don't give in to that that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Somebody changes their diet and they break out in pimples, that's a good thing. Take a bath, stay clean, you know, but these are good things. And if you name it a good thing, there will be a good thing in there. Because your other choice is to resist it. And if you're going to transcend it into a higher level of reality, which is where we're going, then you've got to stop resisting it, because you cannot transcend anything that you resist. What you resist persists. Tom?
I was just going to mention that pain for me is usually if I'm resisting someone or something that I've agreed to, you know, do something with them, and then the pain is an excuse not to let them mess with me anymore, because I
have this pain.
Oh yeah, you can use pain just like getting sick. How many of us learned how to get sick so we could get out of school, and then we learned how to get sick so we could get out of work, you know, and then we learned how to get sick so we could get out of all kinds of things. So one of the things that is discussed before we move into more current readings and before we take a break is this idea of karma. And even though we're in science of mind, sometimes that might come up. Well, boy, that's your karma. You know, it's just balancing out. You went with I don't know, what did I hear? You got in relationship with a married person, and so the person you were married to then got in relationship with somebody else, and where do we go to? It's just karma. Isn't that karma? But inherent in that is you got punished for what you did.
Or you will.
Or you will. Instant karma's gonna get you, all in John Lennon. Yeah. So what we want to do is realize that karma is nothing but cause and effect, and that you can change your karma at any moment by what? Changing your thoughts, changing your feelings, calling it a blessing, looking for the good in it, seeing that God is right here and right now. And you can shift all of that because every effect comes from a cause. And as you come up with a different effect, you come up with a different cause. And you can come up with a different effect, a different cause at any moment. At any moment. And that's why I tell people, please call me before they give you the biopsy result. Just because it's a little more entrenched in physical form, usually with a lot of energy and emotion on it, let's catch it before it has coalesced into form. And it's the same thing with your life. Catch it before it coalesces into form. If you've been going around all morning going, just stop and shift that. Otherwise, you're going to have the outpicturing of that in your physical body, in your finances, in your friendships or your relationships, or you're going to find out you've just been laid off. You know, who knows what is going on? So that if you don't want to live out what you are setting forth in mind, then you have to be able to have the discipline, the awareness, and the practice to change your thought and change your feeling. That's why these ideas of how are you doing with pulling your energy back from negative conversations? How are you doing with choosing what you want to experience instead of what you don't want to experience? How are you doing with picking an emotion? Just pick an emotion and feel it. Practice that. Pretend like you're in an acting class. That's one of the cool things they do. They can go into sorrow or joy just like that because they've learned how to choose their emotions. And then when you have something that's about to coalesce into form, you have some tools in your toolkit so that you can use this incredible, powerful, creative, spiritual energy that you've got so that you can manifest what you want to have instead of simply out picturing your fear and maybe the negativity of those around you. Does that make sense? That's why it's so important to get this practice stage. And I am not interested in you being able to quote Ernest if you can't change your mind. It doesn't do you any good. I don't care how much you know if you can't pick a feeling and feel it. If you can't go where you want to go in life and then watch life show up. And there are a lot of people who think that they've got it all figured out, except their lives suck. This is a no-suck zone. Really? Hello, World Wide Web. Emily.
All right, this is just a form of a question. So is the science of mind basically teach that if you doing all the positive things and you're changing your thoughts and you're changing your emotions, that means that bad shit isn't gonna happen to you in your life?
Of course not, but there is no bad shit.
Right.
And there are levels to the teaching.
Because one of the things that I think back in my past, that some of the worst moments of my life have been some strong catalysts for my particular growth. I wouldn't have chosen it.
But
consciously.
according to your consciousness, according to your consciousness and your belief system at the time, that's the way those experiences came through. Now, what I would like to do is move into a greater sense of love and joy and peace and prosperity and health and wholeness, and have those changes in my life, I'm just speaking for me, those changes in my life come through in love and joy and peace and prosperity and health and wholeness, instead of my belief system, which was, I've got to be out on the street before I'm going to have my life get better. I've got to be desperate before I'll be motivated. I used to only clean my house when I was angry. And I would get angry because I knew I was going to clean, and I would generate. I remember, this was a long time ago, I played Donna Summers really loud. She works hard for her money. She's a hard-hearted honey. And I would generate that energy because I thought I needed that to do what I wanted to do. But the problem with me is that I would live my life with no emotional, physical, or mental safety net around me at all, and I would always be on the verge of destruction. And so that's the way I made my growth things. Now, I can grow and change and have things work out so much more easily. And Science of Mind has levels. There is the level of, wow, go to Center for Spiritual Living, they'll give you an affirmation and you'll have money. And some people think that's all that we do. And there are so many greater levels of experiencing life than that. What I have found is that when we can experience that true oneness, connection, love, and joy, we have money. Money is just not an issue anymore, but we have so much more than a desperate person cranking out affirmations because they're scared to death that the landlord's going to come knocking on their door. You can manifest money that way, but people who think that that's what we're about, that's such a beginner's level of demonstration. So does it mean once you've cleaned up your thoughts that things that other people would say is bad stuff is never going to happen because sometimes bad stuff turns into a blessing? Of course not. But it's how you roll through those experiences, and the more that you really clean up your consciousness, not just your conscious thoughts, the more you really move into an idea that you're safe in this world, that there really is a blessing in every pile of pony poo, there's a pony in there somewhere, that there really is more than enough of whatever that is, that you really are loved, then you have such a totally different life, and the little details, they almost seem to just fall into place by themselves. And when they don't, you know that there's something good. When they lay you off and you go, great, finally I can get the money I deserve to be making and do the work that I want to do. Does that make sense? So what I have done over the last number of years, for those of you who have been around for a while, is I have been pushing you more and more away from, this is about your personal conscious thoughts, this is about your making it happen, manifesting, come on everybody, let's go manifest, you know, that kind of thing, to who are you? Who are you really? Who are you? And when you can embrace that, everything else will fall into place. And then it won't be an issue. It just won't be an issue. So that's my journey in Science of Mind. And thank you for helping me put that together so succinctly for our viewing audience. We're rolling? We've moved into part 2 of the book, and that is the part of practice. Thinking about theories and not doing anything with them doesn't work. So there are specific things that Ernest wants you to do. He wants you to know. And we say that a lot here. I know. I know. What does that mean, to know? It's within all of your being. It's within all of your being. What else?
Question.
Without question. What else?
It's an acknowledgement.
An acknowledgement, to have faith,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt.
I am positive.
You're positive. Now, do you think that you're gonna get there right away? No. So what you wanna do is you wanna work on moving into a state of knowing. Now, he says, speak your word. And what he's inferring is, even if you don't know it, speak your word anyway. Muster up that fake it till you make it kind of energy and speak your word, because even a word that is spoken without 100% belief will set spiritual law in motion and stuff will happen. That's why people come here and say, give me an affirmation for money. So they recite that, I, Barbara, know that God is the source of all supply, money's got an action, I know that my good is here now. And they say that and they get money. And then they get freaked out and they lose their money, and then they gotta say it again and get money. They're demonstrating, even though they are not in a position of true knowing, they're still kind of hoping. Wishing and hoping and keeping their fingers crossed and that kind of thing. But you gradually, through practice, move into a greater state of knowing. So don't be afraid to speak your word as if you really believed it. I have done that often, especially early on in ministry. I'm speaking my word for someone who has 4th stage cancer, and I remember my first client like that. He had, all else has failed, try God. He was a wonderful man. His name was Abraham. And he would come to my office every day because after I treated for him, he could sleep for maybe 2 hours. And that was the only time in the cycle of his day that he could actually sleep. But there was an odor that came in with him. If you've ever been around anyone with advanced stage cancer, and I would muster up, I was like 29 or 30, I would muster up all the courage that I had to claim for him absolute health, to know that the presence of God was right here and now. And I spoke my word and had demonstrations even though I didn't really believe it at the moment. And I say that for all the world to hear because that's just life. For us to expect ourselves to absolutely be able to command all of the creative energy of heaven and earth and have something in my hand right then and there, and for us to expect that after only having been in Science of Mind since December is unrealistic. But what we want to do is practice it. We want to practice it and practice it and practice it and keep at it. And move into that state where you can say, I know that God is here. Even if I can't see it, even if my senses are confronted with something that seems diametrically opposed, like a bounced check, or a minus amount in the checkbook, or someone saying, you're not good enough for me to love you anymore, so I'm leaving. Even if we're going through those kinds of things, we still gather ourselves up, stand tall, speak our word, and we will manifest. Now there are levels, and that's a beginning level. And what Ernest wants us to do is to practice that, and as the manifestations occur, we get a little bit more faith, we believe it a little bit more, we know it, we have less doubts. We said part of knowing was without a doubt, totally positive. We move along that continuum until we can get to where there are just certain things that I know. I know there is nothing lost in divine mind. And if you come up to me and say you've lost your keys, I know there is nothing lost in divine mind. And that whatever it is you are looking for, you have right here and right now. And I know that. I know that, I know that, I know that. I know that everything really does work out. How long that takes is not on me, it's on you. But it always works out. I know that there is good in everything. I know that money is easy. Money is one of the easiest things we manifest because it's a simple outer manifestation. What happens with people like I said before, is they manifest money and then they lose it, they manifest it and they lose it. So moving into wealth is a greater state than manifesting money, but money is easy. You can manifest money, anybody can manifest money, everybody does manifest money. So there are certain things that I know, but they have taken sometimes my knees knocking and me saying it like it was the absolute, uncontestable truth of the universe, which it was, and then having things demonstrate. So we want to start speaking our word with authority and conviction and move into knowing all at the same time. But do not think that you have to have it all together before you can manifest. What a waste that would be. Claim your joy. If you enter a contest, win it. If you're not going to win it, don't bother to enter into the contest. If you're going to go out and buy a Powerball ticket for the $450 million Powerball jackpot being pulled on Wednesday, get the winning ticket. Speak your word over it. Claim it. Know that. And then watch how things show up in your life. And move to a greater state of knowing. But knowing for me always takes practice. It just takes practice. And that's one of the reasons that I do a lot of testimonials and sharing, is because when you demonstrate something, I know it a little bit more. And then you demonstrate something, and I know it a little bit more. And we can share in that spiritual growth. So one of the things he says is, do not struggle when you speak your word. Don't sweat it. Know that no matter how far along the spectrum of enlightenment you are, of total embracing of the oneness of all life, and God is right here and right now, wherever you are on the spectrum, speaking your word will manifest. At whatever level it manifests, I don't know, but there's a definite result of you speaking your word. So what he's saying is, go ahead and do this. Stand tall, speak your word, don't worry about it, don't sweat it, something is going to happen. And then do it again, and do it again. He had Bill Hornaday go over that house every day. Now, Bill Hornaday was probably the most, other than Ernest Holmes, the most highly acclaimed minister in the movement. And he's being sent, he said, I heard him tell this story, he said he felt like a schoolboy being punished, going to stand in front of that house and to treat it, so that Ernest didn't have to look at an ugly house. Except what happened was the house transformed, and my guess is it took all the people with it and transformed their lives also. So don't be afraid to speak your word. Don't be afraid to do it. Put yourself out there. Watch things happen. People think you're crazy, so what? They think you're crazy anyway. If they really knew you, they would love you. And if they think you're crazy and they don't like what you're doing, they don't know you anyway, and you're going to, split paths sooner or later. So you might as well just put it out there and say, this is what I believe. There's nothing lost in divine mind. We always have more than enough. Of course they have a table for us. Of course we have more than enough gas to get to the gas station. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. I recognize the part of you that is in a higher state. Whatever that phrase was, it was so good. I honor that part of you that's in a higher state of consciousness right now. And what you're saying is, I'm not going to talk to this other part of you. See the Krishna, see the Christ, see the God self in everyone. And then this idea that there's no authority over you, that I think John talked about, but who do you still give your power away to? Whose permission do you need to be okay? The IRS. Whose permission do you need to be happy, to be prosperous? Well, thank you.
Your own permission.
Hallelujah. Who do you still give your power away to? Well, if I don't eat regularly and keep my blood sugar up, I'm just going to go into this funk. You're giving your power away to something. Or, this is an unexpected expense. It's not in my budget. It's gonna throw my whole finances out of whack. It's gonna take me months to catch up to that. Giving your power away. I have totally given my power away to reading glasses. I have, and I know that. I spent most of my life with glasses from when finally someone noticed I couldn't see, which could have been why I had no idea what was going on in school or around me. And then I had LASIK surgery like 15 years ago, and immediately I needed reading glasses. Why? Because there's a defense to glasses, and when you take them away, even when you take the contact lens away, which I could always feel in my eye, there is a vulnerability. And so what did I do? I grabbed hold of reading glasses. Oh, you can't see me. Isn't that what we do? So what do you give your power away to? And what price do you pay for giving that power away? I don't pay much of a price for reading glasses. You know, I have like 100 pairs, and they're all in different colors, and often they match my outfits, because I bought a particular piece of clothing. But when I cannot be happy because John is on the road, I pay a high price for that. When I can't be comfortable in who I am because of where our checkbook is, which happened last June at the center when we went behind $20,000 the first half of the year, and I said, oh, maybe I am full of, you know, maybe I'm not as clear as I thought I was, maybe I'm not as powerful as I thought I was, maybe this really isn't, oh, forget that. That's crazy, money's easy. And money is easy. We turned all of that around, and boy, I'm gonna pay the mortgage off on this building. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's paid off in a year. Money's easy. Take my power back. I do not give my power away lightly. When I do, I pay a heavy price for it. So, just your question, what are you still giving your power away to? Well, this is your job. This is what you get from your job. This is what you have to do. Stop saying, I have to. I have to go to work. No, you don't. I have to get up. No, you don't. I have to eat. No, you don't. You don't. You really don't. You don't have to do anything. You do what you do out of choice. And that empowers you. You're giving out all this power to everybody and their brother. I have to stop at the red light. No, you don't. You know, there's always a price to pay for anything that you do. Honestly, sometimes John just runs a red light, and I go, can you do that? He says, of course I can. What do you think you have to? What are your have-tos? What are your shoulds? What are your musts? What are your I cannot? What are your impossibles? They're important. And if you're going to have that, do it knowingly and pay the price willingly. Susan.
I just had a memory. When my children were little, my daughter was an infant, and I was in probably my first therapy experience, and I was moaning and groaning, and here I was, a newly single mother, and I said, and I have to take care of these children. And she said, no, you don't. What do you mean, no, I don't? You know, she said, you don't. Every day that you wake up and take care of them, it's a choice. And I can't tell you how freeing. I saw my entire situation. It's like, well, today's a choice. Today I choose to mother these children. And it just made it so much less burdensome.
Of course, because it empowers you. You are at choice in your life.
I forget it now. Thank you for bringing that back up.
Right. I get to, and I'll correct you if I hear you. Olympia's going, yes, she will. As long as you get to. And it would be a wonderful gift to give that to each other. Oh, I've got to go. No, you don't. You get to go. Kathleen.
Used to I said impossible. Now I'm not saying that. I'm saying that impossible is not a word. It's a state of mind.
It is. Impossible is a state of mind. You walk on fire.
Yeah.
You
I can do
know?
anything.
And then the next day, people are all, you just walked on fire. You just had an amazingly transformative experience. So to be mindful, to be aware of yourself, to realize that you are a choice, and then to make those choices consciously is all part of the practice of science of mind. So who do you give your authority away to? Oh, I've seen people wait in line for a certain practitioner when we do the circle of prayer, because they obviously are better than the other 20 practitioners in the rest of the room. They're all the same, it's all God, it's all one. But they'll say, oh no, if I can get that person to treat for me, then everything will happen. No, you are the one. You are the one. So where do you give your power away? Pull it back, be at choice, and watch how freeing and energizing that is. I always know when people are tired, you're tired because you're using up your own energy. Oh, I'm just so tired. Well, if you were in your joy, if you were loving, if you were open, if you were choosing, you would be filled with energy. Instead of, oh, I'm so tired, I just can hardly go on anymore. What does he say in this reading? The world has had enough of sad faces. It says the world has had enough of sad faces. Don't be one of them. He tells you to be happy. Practicing science of mind is to learn to be happy. No matter what. Oh, it's too hot. Be happy for that. You get heat. Oh, it's too cold. Be happy for that. You get cold. Oh, I'm damp. Be happy for that. Your body still works. You know, pick something and be happy for it. And what you do is you shift the energy. You open yourself up. You're more in tune with that creative force that's moving through you. And it just goes to cement what Barbara says all the time. This is all about being happy. Well, when I get this, I'll be happy. No, you gotta be happy to get it. When this happens, I'll be happy. No, you gotta be happy for it to happen. So just go ahead and start practicing, feeling that joy and feeling that happiness. Skip. I think that'd be a great homework assignment for everyone. And I have great faith in you. Skip a little bit this week. I used to skip next to my teenage son when I'd pick him up from A.C. Reynolds High School. Hated it. Hated it. I'm so happy. I'm skipping down the hallway because he made me come pick him up, so I'm going to skip and tell him how wonderful he is. You know, maybe next time he'd catch the bus. Do something very different that has to do with happiness for you. Turn your frown upside down, walk on the sunny side of the street. You know, it's not complicated. It's inside of us. When we move into something that seems so simplistic, we open up creative energies. We get our mojo going. We get that creative juice going, so even if we are terrified and we speak our word, I know that I have more than enough gas to get to that exit and get to that gas station, even though my GPS says I'm going to run out of gas long before it. Forget that, turn it off. I claim my divine inheritance of always having more than enough, and you get there. You get there. Don't be afraid to speak your word. Set the law in motion. Claim it. Watch it show up. So that when big things in your life happen, you've got a little bit under your belt. You've got some deposits in your spiritual bank account to do some withdrawals on. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good, 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 good. All disease is an image of thought held in mind until it appears in the body. So think about that. When your images, what your images and thought are, think about what you're thinking about, because it's going to manifest in either your physical body or the body of your affairs. It's going to manifest. And if you don't want that to happen, change your thought. It's called new thought. Get a new one. Change your old one. Trade it in for a better model. Whatever it is you're going to remember, get a new thought and have a new experience. It's not going to happen any other way than from you. It's just not going to happen. It's got to come from you. So, a couple of things that Ernest says. Be happy. Live in the present. That's what we were talking about don't go over those old experiences over and over and over again. Ram Dass, be here now. Just take a breath. I find that to be so effective. Even if you have been lost in the past for minutes, hours, days, years. If you can do something, and this is a little neuro-linguistic programming technique, if you can do something to interrupt the unconscious cycle and bring it to a more conscious awareness, you have a much better chance of noticing what you're doing. It's like we used to have a practitioner here named Hyacinth, and she would say, whoa, wait a minute, back up. You'd be having a perfectly good conversation with her, and all of a sudden she would go, whoa, wait a minute, back up. What just happened here? She didn't like the way the conversation was going. And so she would back it up and do it again. So whatever it is that you've got going on in your head that is not demonstrating as the prosperous, healthy, joy-filled, ecstatic life that you are meant to be living, bring it into present time. And the technique that I use, that is, for me, it's just easier than Tony Robbins throwing a glass of water in your face, which is his technique. You go see Tony Robbins and you start talking about your problem, and he takes a glass of water and just throws it right in your face. It says, oh, go on, see if he fills it back up again. Honest to God, this is Tony Robbins' technique. So anything that will shift your unconscious pattern, and I simply use take a breath. It gives a little oxygen to your brain in the hopes that you will think a little bit more clearly, and it stops everything. Just take a breath. And sometimes I'll say, just take a breath. You know, the dishes are piling up, the dishwasher's not working, there's water all over the floor, people keep bringing in more stuff. It's like, just take a breath. Just take a breath and shift it, and everything will work out. Because now you are in charge, and you don't have to, and you not, what is the 11th commandment? Thou shalt not masturbate. You're not saying I must. Thou shalt not should on thyself is the 12th commandment. No, I must, I must, I must, I should, none of that. You get to, and you don't have to. You don't want to get up out of bed in the morning? There are plenty of people who don't. Well, you did now, you came to class.
Well, in time for class.
You were living the life of Riley there, aren't you? He says, first in the creative series is the Word, but the Word carries us no farther than our own consciousness back of it. So what he's saying is that the Word is creative, and he wants you to speak the Word, but he wants you to also address your consciousness in back of the Word, which is your beliefs. It's your hidden beliefs. It's your repetitive outpicturings. Did you ever get in relationship with the same person, only they had a different face?
Yeah.
So the repetitive patterns in your life come from a belief. All men are this way, all women are this way, all relationships end in disaster. You know, whatever that belief is, when you have a repetitive belief going on, especially unconsciously, because all you can see is that you're in love, you're like a masochist and sadist seeing each other across the room, it's got to be love. Then those repetitive beliefs that are going on in your consciousness, he says you've got to clean them up. He's got a chapter in Basic Ideas of Science of Mind that says clearing out the storehouse of your subconscious mind. And he says you got to get in there and you got to start shoveling the poo out. And you've got to replace it with positive thoughts. You've got to stop thinking about what you don't want, and you have to actively think about what you do want and generate emotions and feelings that go along with that and set your course and go for it. So he's saying speaking the Word is great. And remember, he wrote this in 1916. But he's saying that's not the end-all be-all. That there's a whole consciousness element that you have to take into account. So that's why I say, who do you give your power away to? How well are you doing on shifting your thought? How quickly do you notice when you start going down into the abyss? and how quickly can you pull yourself out and claim the blessing. That's all about cleaning out the storehouse of your subconscious mind. It's all about addressing the consciousness so that you get to where you're just hanging out in consciousness, in love and joy and peace, and everything else falls into place. Does that make sense? Good, 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 good. It's interesting because this is a very basic class, but I don't want to do basic anymore. I don't want to do basic anymore. I don't want to just give you an affirmation and tell you to go home and do it 1,000 times and watch how you have what you do. You will, but I don't want to do that anymore. So if you want anything, just do an affirmation, do it 1,000 times a day, and you'll have what it is you want. Okay, now let's move on. Let's live our lives in a consciousness of love and connection and joy, and knowing that all things are in perfect order, that God is right here and right now, that we are pure spirit, we are beings of light and love. And because we see it so clearly in ourselves, we see it in each other. And that's the world we live in. That's the science of mind that I want to do. And then something happens and somebody calls it great and somebody calls it terrible. I'm in my light and my love. I'm okay, I'll do what I need to do. I do put gas in my car. You know, I do buy groceries. I do deal with that. And I have had people say, well, why do I ever have to put gas in my car? You don't. You don't. If you have the consciousness to have a full tank of gas all the time, then you can have that. There's a story about a woman driving out to Kansas City, Missouri, to Unity Village to see Charles Fillmore, and she was like 100 miles away in the middle of the desert, and she was on empty, and she just kept affirming, and she got to the gas station, and she was telling him all about that, and he said, well, why'd you stop at the gas station? If you have the consciousness for it, and you can pull it off, you literally can have anything you want materialize in your life. But to just focus on, am I okay because I have this manifestation, is a low level of demonstration. I am not only okay, I am magnificent. With or without the demonstration, I know that if not this, something better, and then I have great experiences in my life. Jane.
I must say that when I was manifesting every once in a while, it just really frightened me that I could do it. I mean, like I manifested a parking space during a big weekend in Asheville. Just and then I thought, where did that come from? I thought to myself, this parking space will appear shortly, and I rounded the corner and there was the perfect parking. Well, it scared the heck out of me.
There's a part of you that it's scared, and I just want to acknowledge that part of you that is at a higher state of consciousness. You give way too much energy to the part of you that's scared.
Oh, okay.
If we knew what we could do, we could walk through walls, we could time travel, we could heal or manifest anything. That's who we are. And it's never going to happen unless we start to open to the idea that that is who we are. So we don't have to give anything up except our negativity, our limitations. But in terms of, I've got to stop eating such and such, or I've got to start exercising, or I've got to stop watching Modern Family, or oh no, really, I mean, just pure laughter. I can watch that over and over and over again and catch jokes that I missed.
What is that?
It's a TV show, Modern Family.
Modern Family?
Yes. I think it's ABC. I don't watch anything in real time. So we don't have to give anything up to be able to have what we want. So all of those old ideas that say, okay, now you're going to be working on consciousness, and it's a very spiritual consciousness. So you have to give up all of those base elements of life. No, even Annie Ritz-Molitz was saying, drink the drink. Know that it's God. Eat the food. Know that it's God. Have sex. Know that it's God. Because she has a whole chapter on rising above our sensuality or something. She says being run by it is not of God. It's of sin and evil, and it doesn't exist. See the presence of God in it and enjoy your life. So whatever it is that you're doing, move into that state of fullness and appreciation and blessing, and watch how it shows up. You don't have to punish yourself. I mean, it's such a race belief that we have that somehow we have to suffer to have what we want. And one of the things that he's saying right in the very beginning of the practice is the only thing you have to give up is your limited negative thinking. That's the only thing to give up. You want to start fasting? Wonderful. Do a word fast. Do a thought fast. Give up eating of the words of negativity and limitation. That's the only thing to give up, and then watch stuff show up. And that doesn't mean that you won't change, because you very much will change. And you may start doing something very different than you did before, but it's not because I have to, or I must, or I should. It's because I get to. Wow, I just noticed that my body is thirsty. Do you know I get to drink water all day instead of, gee, this is only my third glass of water. You know, I'm supposed to have 8 ounces of water. And I don't know how anybody can do this, because there's just not enough pee time to drink that much water. And I have to, though, and I really should, or whatever your water represents. And you move into this idea that says, I am connected with all things. I am a highly aware, evolved being. And gee, I just noticed for the first time in my life that my body's thirsty. I keep shoving food down my throat when really what it wants is water. So I enjoy my water. Boy, I enjoy water. I went 4 days without a drop of water, 4 days and 4 nights without any water. Every time I take a sip of water, I notice it, and I am grateful for it. So think about how you live your life. It's not in the big world-changing events. You're not going to finally come upon your major purpose and reason for being on planet Earth, and here it is, and now you're going to do it. It's not going to happen like that. It's about all of the little experiences, the thoughts that you think, the feelings that you feel, how you take the events in your life, how you clean yourself up, you're pouring in positivity, you're letting go of negativity, you're turning away from the condition and focusing on what you want, you're speaking your word as if, and every time you demonstrate, you build up a little bit more faith, and you are looking for the blessing and for the presence of the divine in every person, no matter how much of a dirty, rotten racket they were to you, and how they did you wrong and hurt you, and how many times you've told that story. You're looking for the blessing in that. And what you'll find is that your money problems will go away. You'll find that your physical issues go away. You will find that you're a nicer person and people like you better. You will find that your car runs more smoothly, that the deal closes easier, that the people that along the way that used to be such a pain in the butt are now these great people. And how many wonderful experiences did we miss while we were so busy with the tractor beam on what we didn't want, bringing it into our lives. So he says to practice, and I want you to practice. I don't care what you can quote. I really don't. I want your life to work. There's a Native American saying that says, does your life grow corn? Because if you're not growing corn, then everything that you're doing is worthless. So do you demonstrate in terms of, is your life getting better? Is your life getting better? Is your life getting better? And if you are practicing, I guarantee you, your life will get better. Sometimes you may not know it. Sometimes it may catch you by surprise. All of a sudden, I've been laid off. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to claim the good in it. It may look different than you thought it would, but it will get better, because what you're putting out and what you're setting in motion can only bring back that which is in alignment with it. And so as you feel safe and secure and loved, your demonstrations are all about being safe, you got a good car, you don't have a clunker anymore that backfires while you're driving down the road, you're secure, you've got plenty of money in the bank, you know that everything is fine, and you're loved, you're surrounded by great friends. You have fun. You have fun. Life is not meant to be this rigid, tense kind of a thing. I remember when I was doing all my yoga stuff and oh, well, you know, if you really are into the Zen Buddhism stuff, you go to the monastery and you're in deep meditation and the master comes with a stick and whacks you on your back and you're not supposed to flinch. And I thought, oh yeah, that's really cool. No, I think that's sick. Really? What is this inherent no pain, no gain belief system that we have? It's not only ours, it's a race consciousness. So let go of that. You don't have to give anything up but your limitations. I like to say that my teachings are guaranteed. If you don't like them, you can have your old life back. Yeah. Yeah, neither do I. So do you have any questions before we go? Where are you going to be next week? Not here. Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful time. And then we'll be back for a week, and then we'll be gone for a week, and then we'll be back for a week, and we'll start all over again.
Where are we?
I don't know. I recorded it. Came out with 5 CDs. Oh. I like that. I like recording. I like the language. I had to have my phone next to me though, and I would stop recording and have to look up a word to see what it meant and to get the pronunciation of it. And then towards the 4th and 5th CDs, I left a lot of stumbles in there, so just deal with it. Jane?
I was thinking about your use of the friends, your friends, because and I often think my family is raised somewhere else, and so I'm very much alone here, and that I don't have any friends, but I'm beginning to think that maybe I'm defining friends in a way that
Well, Jane, you had an epiphany after you hurt yourself, and you had all the people from the center come over and drive you and check on you and take care of you, and you said, I used to think that my family, I didn't have any family, and now I realize that I have family here.
you'd think that I would.
Well, I'm reminding you, that's what I do. That's my job, is to remind you. Let me cause you to remember who you are. And of course you're going to forget, and because you are still here, I'll remind you. It's a wonderful relationship. You know, we're all going to forget, and then we all remember. And that's what it's all about. You do the hokey pokey.
Yeah, I guess I have some sort of wild idea that friends are these perfect people that
Yeah, no.
are always there for you no matter.
No, they're just the ones that won't go away. Okay, any other questions? Take out what you're going to give. Hold it in your hands. Give with that energy of fullness. Give with that energy of trust. The flow of life is constant. And so whatever we give out, we give back. You smile at people, they smile back. You love, you get love. Maybe not from that person, but you get love. You give anything out, and you get it back. So right here and right now, what we are focusing on is money. That we give money out and it comes back. It may come back from new places. The universe isn't making stuff come from exactly where you think it's going to come. God has ways of giving you money that you've never even dreamed of yet. God has things in the works that will prosper and bless you, that have been being worked on for 20 years. Open up your mind. Open up your heart. and know that yes, you get to have more than enough. You get to have a great life. You get to go into Olivia Newton-John's dressing room and she records a song for your cat. Even your cat is blessed because of its relationship to you. You get to have that life. You are so amazingly loved that everything that you give out is multiplied and brought back. And then open up your hands. No strings attached, let your gift go and just be ready for all that life has for you. And I know that each one of us comes together this night in our love and our clarity and our joy and in our generosity to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace in the storms of our life, a beacon of light when things look dark, a tower of strength when we need to lean on it, and a fountain of wisdom that continues to feed us forever. And so it is.
So it is.
Breathe it in. Take a breath. Take a breath. There is so much money flying around. It's looking for you. It's got its radar on you. It's coming in for a landing. Whoop. Just attached. Breathe it in. There is so much prosperity, so much abundance, so much money. There's so much money. And one of the ideas that I really like is that we are never as weak as our weakest link. That's ridiculous. We are as strong as the strongest among us. And so we are as prosperous as the most prosperous that is connected to us, whether it's through this center, whether we've heard about it on television, or whether it's somebody on this planet. We are united in our prosperity and we are lifted up. So breathe that in. There's a golden light of riches that comes through us. It fills up this room, it touches and blesses us, and it changes the consciousness of every being on this planet. We choose to live our lives in prosperity and abundance and wealth. It is now ours. I claim it for each and every one of us. As together we say, and so it is. I love you guys. Have a good week. Great little boy is going to be here on Sunday.